23 minutes in front of the hour. Thanks for being with us on Live at 9. A Mid-South church is inviting all of us to join a very frank conversation about how faith can fit in with our current culture. When Love Listens is the name of it, and organizers say we will have more success tackling the past, present, and future if we do listen to each other first. To learn more about this and how you can participate, we're live with Dr. Stacy Spencer, Senior Pastor of New Direction Christian Church. Dr. Spencer, always good to talk with you. Listening is the key to really kind of crossing the divide that we find ourselves in. And one very cool thing about this is that, as I understand it, this is only the third local effort in this national campaign, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Mary Beth. Yes, Alpha USA, this is their first stop in Memphis, but they've been to Florida, they've been to Texas, and the whole point is to help create a culture of listening. As you said, we've been in such a chaotic time of division and people talking at each other, but not really listening to each other. And we just believe that if we are able to create a culture of listening in our churches, then we can reach out to people who are in crisis, people who have questions, and Lord knows we need some solutions for all that we're experiencing in our city right now.
We definitely do. So the divide, it feels like if you think about the divide we're in, most people immediately go to the political divide. But it's more than that, right? Is any subject off the table in this conversation?
No, it's all about allowing people to ask questions. I found out about Alpha when I made a trip to London with a couple of local Memphis pastors a couple of years ago, and we saw this tool where over 500 people were gathered in the church that night who were agnostic, atheists. Some of them didn't believe, but yet they were having conversations about life, about whatever they had questions about. And the whole idea is that we learn more by listening to people than just simply trying to tell people something. There's an old saying that says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
And that is so very true. So how might a local person ask a question? Do they need to be submitted in advance? How is this going to work? Because, of course, because of the pandemic, this is going to be virtual.
Yes. So on a regular basis, we have what's called Alpha, where it's a 10-week course where people can log in virtually and they can ask questions in a small group. But tomorrow, when Alpha USA comes into Memphis, they're coming to train leaders and workers in church and faith-based organizations who want to learn how to create a listening culture in their organization and their church, to reach those people who are outside their church, to reach those people who are experiencing post-traumatic stress syndrome as a result of this pandemic, to reach people who are lost and need a sense of purpose. So they're coming tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at our church to train up leaders. And so everybody who has that desire to learn how to reach people can come out and be a part of this workshop tomorrow.
So when you hear leaders in church, you think pastors, associate pastors, deacons, that sort of thing. But is this for just that person who sits in the pew every Sunday and doesn't really feel like a leader? Or do I have to be a Sunday school teacher to join this conversation?
That's a great question. I think Alpha would say that they would want people who don't know a lot about the Bible, because what happens is when we get in a room with people asking questions, everybody wants to be an expert and nobody really gets to learn anything. So we encourage lay people to come and be a part of this, because the most important piece is just facilitating a conversation, allowing people to ask questions. And through the process, that 10-week process, people will get their own answers through the presentations of the gospel and the lessons that are taught. But more important, it's important to listen. So yes, we want lay people, leaders, the average church member to come and be a part of this workshop.
Is listening sometimes even hard for you? And you've been at this for a very long time. So give us some hope that even if we're not very good at it, we should keep going.
Yeah, listening pays off. Jesus, when he was in ministry, in public ministry, he answered more questions than he did ask questions. Sometimes he answered a question with a question, because he wanted people to arrive there on their own. And so it behooves us to go out and have conversations with people. we have to go out and reach people in our community by having conversations, not talking at them, but talking with them.
Another old saying, we have two ears and one mouth, right? Thank you.
That's right.
I will try to remember that. Thank you so much. We've put the information on the screen, and we encourage everyone to become a part of this because a frank conversation is what we need. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mary.